Salutations. How does a good person live? What is virtue? At one point, does the obligation a person has to the people around them exceed the obligations they have to themselves? Well, that's not easy questions, but something we're going to dive into slightly here with Hyperdimensional Internal Stargate number 2, which is part of the Warp Physics that we discussed in another video. Okay, and what this is actually using forgiveness. Okay, not just, you're also using the certain symbols, ancient symbols, as well as pranayama breathing, and breathing, the science of breathing, along with your intent of will focused on forgiveness and the peace of forgiveness and love. Okay, and what that does is used to actually transcend the karmic wheel, which means to break the karmic cycle, to break the karmic wheel, which can go into lifetimes as well. So we may be carrying some lifetimes, either contracts or karma on us that has to be exercised and gotten rid of. Trapped emotion is how the dark forces get to us. They get into it. The trapped emotion holds in our cellular structure, cellular trauma, it holds in our organs, and that becomes accessible by dark forces. They start targeting you to make cracks in that so they can start get those traumas to come out by past traumas that are stored in the body. That's very real, and that is a tactic they use that has to be spotted. So this is what Internal Stargate number 2 is, and the reason why I want to bring this up is because the forgiveness part, I've had trouble accessing this Stargate on something that happened to me when I went to go speak in Australia. I went to Australia to speak at the Underground Disclosure speech or conference. I actually did a video on that, all right? And I went early because there's somebody, my partner there, that I wanted to see. So I went about a month early, actually. And upon getting there, after getting off the plane, I wasn't feeling well. And I wound up being in the emergency room the next day. I landed that evening in Melbourne. The next day I was in the emergency room, the hospital. And I wound up having to go for emergency, as they call it, theater, emergency surgery, actually. And I was in surgery for 2 days, okay? It had to be left open overnight because my blood went septic. I won't say anything more than that. So I was about 12 hours from dying. I had no idea I was that sick. And I'll tell you, I've had great health outside of the traumatic brain injuries I suffered in that car accident, the car accident that actually got me to come forward 10 years ago. I've had no health problems. I've been very blessed. So that was new to me. I was out of my country. It was startling. And I wound up being in ICU for 11 days. During this time, just about 2 days, 3 days after I got out of ICU, on Christmas Eve, I started getting attacked by the promoters for this event I was supposed to speak at. And it started off as like it was really rough. They started sending messages through my partner and also through an individual that is supposed to be a friend, all right, that actually organized this and is trying to act like they didn't organize this event when they did. So when I got out of, I was actually on Christmas Eve, I was going into surgery. I had a surgery to remove certain things, and it was actually a good deal. I was making a lot of good progress, but I was kind of not disposable that day, indisposed that day, so to say. So during that day, though, I got threatened. And I talked to this individual. I at least messaged with them. They seemed to not be able to answer the phone, although I was on Messenger more. I can only messenger from my phone. I didn't get a chance to get international because the next day I was in the hospital. I was going to get a card there. I was already there. So anyway, and the reason that they're actually threatening to cut me from this event, and what's so odd is, dark forces leave clues. An individual that I had never talked to started messaging my partner saying that, oh, he's not going to be speaking. Can you give us his insurance information and things that they didn't get for me so they can get reimbursed for my ticket? Now, mind you, I never said I was not going to be speaking there. That was undetermined, the health situation I was in, And this is almost 3 weeks before their event even begins. No one was there yet. And they're doing this, they're kind of sweating me. And when I come to, I actually said, why don't some of you come up to I'm in the same city as you, come up to the hospital and try to punk me out to my face. I got that aggressive about it once the drugs and everything had worn off from the operation. And I could see what they were doing, what they tried to do through my partner, what they tried to do, this individual was trying to do to me, and then trying to take no credibility for it. Like it's somebody else doing this. And this was under the guise of, oh, couldn't get a hold of him in America. Couldn't get a hold of him here. And to cover that, so say, okay, I'm sorry, I was in an operation for 2 days. I was in ICU for 11 days. So I've given you a time frame already, but anyway, I couldn't exactly call people and talk to people in ICU. I wasn't in a condition to do that at all. So then it goes back to, oh, they couldn't get a hold of him in America either. That was a problem. What? How was that a problem? And I was sent for a month early. There was a whole lot of communication going on. That makes no sense at all. That is not valid. That means there's lies going on there. So this troubled me a bit. I'm not going to lie to you and act anything different. I was pretty upset about this and what was done. So I was basically uninvited. This individual showed the clue first that I was being excluded from this environment, this event, 3 weeks early. So that's kind of how that went down. All right, that's as far as that. So I showed a couple of messages. I'm not going to go deeper than that because I'm not trying to sling mud. All right, if this individual, these individuals that did that conference, if it benefited some people, I think that's great. If you got the information you needed, that's fine. But I had people coming forward to me, emailing me after the event happened, saying, I was so disappointed you weren't there, but I understand you weren't healthy enough to be there. But I don't understand because I see like a week later, 2 weeks later, you're at California across the world at an expo presenting with Linda Moulton Howe and Mary Rodwell, and you look very well. I was well. I could have spoken at that event too, but I got uninvited on Christmas Eve, which is 3 weeks before their event even began. So that's what I'm saying. It was very upsetting. The fact is, I will say this, all right, an individual I thought was my friend, I did not see that. I was in Australia for 2 months, and I did not see this individual at all. There are a few hours from where I was. Never saw them one time. I have not talked to one person from that conference. It's not even messaged to say, hey, are you doing all right? Not one person. So that's fine. They don't owe me anything, all right? But I think it comes to a point where there's such a thing as being a decent human being. And when I thought, how, as much as I've supported certain individuals, this individual, how could they turn on me like that? But then I realized, you know, using my psychology background, that's a narcissistic personality. Those are traits of that. They do things just like that. I'll flash something up here for the pictures too. But I'm not here to sling mud, but I'm just saying for anyone listening to me right now, on my channel here, there are 15 videos with me and this individual. That shows where my heart was the whole time, all right? So not in a million years would I have done that to them on any circumstance. If they were out of their country, in my country, on Christmas Eve, more or less at my invite, I'm not going to attack them when they're going into a surgery. And I'm being made aware of that by this individual, the mate, and they're gonna sweat to do something that day. That's threats, that's not cool. So anyone that will do that should not be giving teachings. So I'm saying just use your discernment on who you're getting your information from, okay? And I don't mean that way to discredit anyone, but I'm saying anyone that does something like that, and it's been 4 months now before I've decided to make this video or do anything. I've not heard from this individual one time. They've not tried to make anything right because they didn't care. Just like they didn't care when I was in the hospital, period. They did not care about that. That was not important. So that's just part of what I was going to say. Just be aware and use discernment from where you get your information, all right? Tying this back in quickly, I've gone a bit far here. Tying this back into the internal Stargate, this for me is I'm trying to be forgiving on this and learn forgiveness just for myself so I can exercise these trapped emotions and access that Stargate. So I thought it was a good way to tie this in together without trying to discredit somebody and the work they've done. All right, much power to them, but also what happened to me was not cool. It hurt really bad. I was trying to heal. At the end of that actually deal, this individual accused me of trying to energetically sabotage their conference, and then bragged about not coming to see me and not interacting with me, saying they forbid anyone from the conference to talk to me. Man, that's not cool. And I'm not flashing those messages that I have across here. That's mudslinging, but I'm saying it's not cool. So use discernment on whatever you do. Use forgiveness, access the divine field, the prime creator. Please subscribe. Much love to all the people that did know something happened to me and wish me well and have since. I'm proud to say I'm at about 98% power right now. I'm doing very well, so I'm blessed. I was healed. Very good medical attention I received in Australia. Thank you, and thank you to my partner who saved my life, and to my mother who I believe helped me from the other side. Please subscribe, put a like on it, share the video if you like. It's kind of one I wouldn't normally do because it's a little personal, but I've been asked a lot about this and I've kind of tried to avoid it, but I think some people deserve to know. Thank you. Peace.